Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another Monday. I am way too chipper for 5 a.m. Before I go start writing this week's worth of editing, I just wanted to check my outline and make sure that I'm on track and I know where I'm headed. I mean, obviously, I know the plot in my head, but I know myself and I can easily get lost in the details, so it's good for me to check back every once in a while just to make sure I'm on point and things are headed in the right direction. So the program I'm using is called Plotter Pro, and it's nothing fancy. It's basically a digital version of note cards stuck on a wall. But since I'm a visual person and I can't have note cards stuck on a walls because I'm surrounded by windows, this particular program works really well for me. Obviously, what we're looking at here is my outline for Dark Witch Rising. Welcome to the inner workings of my brains, people. Last week, we finally finished chapter 19, and today I need to start chapter 20. Since my book has alternating points of view, the even chapters belong to a character named Tad, and he is really upfront and he's super easy to write. So the editing for chapter 20 should take me less than a day probably. Then I'll move on to the Kate chapters, and she's my problem child. Her plot thread has undergone a significant change since the midpoint of the book, and since that point it's been requiring large rewrites, and it is basically at a completely different draft than it was in draft 3. Okay, let me just take a quick look. And let's get started. Good morning, guys. So it is currently 5:26 and I've just finished cutting up chapter 21. Its final word count at the moment is 2,281. Really, it's gonna end up over 3,000. It's currently all cut up, so it's lots of little lines of text with lots of spaces between them and really a lot of connective story. So I definitely need to connect it all together, and I've realized something as I've been cutting the jack pieces out and cutting out that one plot thread, that there's not a lot going on in this chapter. It starts out with a bang because the previous chapter ended with a bang. But then it's a lot of conversation, and I have to figure out what the point of the chapter is. It's really a transitional chapter. It gets us from point A to point B, but it doesn't even really do that. It gets us from decision A to decision B, and which then moves on with the rest of the novel. They have to make the decision to go from Henry's house to Kate's grandmother's house, and they have to make the decision to cut through the back way. So it is Thursday, September 1st. It's almost 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm working my way through chapter 21. Last night I did kind of almost like stream of conscious work on it. Like I knew where I wanted to go, but I was getting bogged down by all the details. So I just typed really fast, just kind of zooming around from one part to another part, just whatever popped in my head, I got it down as quickly as possible. And that technique does help me sometimes when I'm stuck, like in the details like that, when I'm lost in the weeds. So I'm chapter 21 is currently 3,954 words, which is way too much, but a lot of it does need to be deleted. I'm keeping the stream of conscious there, I'm keeping the old work there, and I'm gradually writing new content. I found that what I had in chapter 21 no longer made sense after I made all those changes to chapter 20. Like taking that plot thread out and taking Jack out of it, like the conversation and the things that happened in chapter 21 just didn't make a lot of sense. I was doing a lot more editing and putting a lot more things in. It was bogging things down. So I decided to almost start fresh. I could keep the beginning because chapter 21 still ended where it ended, and I could keep the ending because I still need to go in that direction. Like it still needs to end where it ends. But all the stuff in between, I'm just kind of like reworking in just in a fresh way. I'm not editing, reworking it. I'm just reworking it, just period, making it flow with the tone and all the choices I made in the previous chapter. It's going pretty good. Like I said, the tone has changed drastically. Instead of in the old version of chapter 21, Chris was angry at her, and now in the new chapter of 21, he's taking care of her. So a major tone shift here. I don't see any reason why this won't be finished by end of the week, and I'm still on target to hit my deadline in December. I don't know. This chapter's kind of straightforward. It's not like nothing about it has changed except for all the words. That doesn't make a lot of sense.